As you all know, Joe Biden picked up two states that were quite a surprise. One of them was Georgia, one of them was Arizona. Subsequently, the legislatures and the governors of those states passed legislation that essentially creates a framework for the suppression of certain votes, as well as making sure that the administration of the election can be controlled by the legislatures in those states. The question is whether or not those laws will actually take those states out of the Electoral College calculus for a Democratic nominee. Okay? Now remember, you have to get 270 votes in order to become President of the United States. So, for the sake of argument, another assumption, let's assume that Arizona and Georgia come off the map, and let's assume that Texas and Florida are totally out of reach. What does that bring us to? It'll bring us back to something called the blue wall. Because there are four states that matter as to whether or not that Democratic nominee for president will actually become president and get the 270 electoral votes. And if you lose any one of them, it doesn't happen. Those states are Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So, as we think about this, what could actually take those states off the map? Well, what can take those states off the map, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that the laws that were passed in Georgia and Arizona get passed in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Well, how could that happen? Well, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is get rid of the Democratic governors in those states and their sustainable vetoes, and then those laws pass. Well, would they do that? Well, by gosh, they would, because they have already attempted to do that, and some of those laws have been vetoed. Let's assume back in 2024 that because we can't get to 270, because we lose governors in 2022 in the blue wall states, that we are in fact in a situation where we have Donald Trump as the President of the United States, and in 2022, because of the current favorability ratings of our incumbent president and the performance of the Congress as it's perceived by people out in the electorate, we lose the House and the Senate in 2022. But the thing that I really want to stress is that the most important elections in 2022 are the governors. There isn't anything more important than re-electing Tim Walz. There isn't anything more important than electing Tony Evers in Wisconsin. There isn't anything more important than electing Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan. And there isn't anything more important than electing Josh Shapiro, who's the Attorney General, to be the governor of Pennsylvania. Tom Wolf is term limited. If that doesn't happen, the dominoes fall this way. Those particular legislatures and newly elected governors will pass voter suppression laws and election administration laws, and may be so brazen as to change how the Electoral College votes are counted in a particular state. That's the trifecta, which would put the presidency of the United States out of reach for Democrats for decades. And the only firewall against that happening comes right through this state, the one next door, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So that is essentially the stakes of the game. And they are that high. You'll be wooed into trying to save the Congress. You'll be wooed into trying to save the U.S. Senate. But for those of you who live in these two states, I beg you, put your energy into those gubernatorial and state legislative elections once the maps are drawn, and bring those people back.